Hi everyone! So for today's video, I am going to be doing my biggest book haul to ever be on this channel. I have over 40 books to show you guys, which I know sounds really bad, like maybe I have a bit of a book buying addiction, but in my defense, I haven't filmed a book haul in a good 4 to 5 months, so that's how long these books have been collecting for. I didn't acquire them all in 1 month, so it makes it a little less bad. So because I do have so many books to show you, I'm not going to be going very in-depth into all of these books. We all know I don't do that anyway because I never read the synopsis before I film these videos, but anyways, I just thought I'd give that little disclaimer that I'm going to be going through these pretty quickly. So I'm going to first start off by showing you the books that were sent to me for review from publishers or authors. Then I'm just going to show you like the more popular mainstream books of young adult or adult, and then I'm going to show you all of the classics that I got over the past few months. So let's get started. So the first book I have here is Mage Against the Machine by Sean Barger. This is a book that was sent to me for review. I don't know a whole lot, as we just established, about what this book is, but I know it is like a dystopian, possibly post-apocalyptic kind of thing, and I think the story pretty much sums it up. It's mages against machines, which sounds pretty darn cool if you ask me. Next I have Stronger, Faster, and More Beautiful by Arwen Ellis Dayton. I believe this is the same author who wrote the Seeker series, and as far as I know this is also a dystopian kind of book, and I'll just read you the little blurb on the end. It says, "This is a story that begins tomorrow. It's a story about us. It's a story about who comes after us, and it's a story about perfection, because perfection has a way of getting ugly." So I think it's going to take place in a kind of society where you're made to be very beautiful. Don't take my word on that. Next we have The Night Crossing by Robert Masello, and for once this is not a futuristic book, this is actually historical fiction, and I believe this book actually follows Bram Stoker as he investigates this occult, and I want to say it's gonna like lead him to Dracula, or what inspired him to write Dracula. It is fiction, but it sounds super interesting, and I'm very excited to read this. Also, Under the Dust Jacket, we all know I appreciate a nice naked book. That is what it looks like. Pretty cool. Next up is a book that you've probably heard about on my channel a lot, and that is Trail of Lightning by Rebecca Rowanhorse. I already read this book and I super duper enjoyed it. I'm so excited for the next one to come out next year, but this is a post-apocalyptic, dystopian, urban fantasy kind of book. I have a whole review video on it, so I will leave a link to that up in the eye in the corner. Next up we have An Easy Death, and I believe this is an adult thriller. It says an extraordinary thriller right here, so I'm assuming that's what it is. Again, I don't know anything about this book, but as from the cover, I'm going to say it's like a gunslinger kind of thing, which I wouldn't say is not my thing because I've just never read from it before, so we'll see how I like it. And then finally, for books that were sent to me from publishers or authors, I actually have a beta copy of a book, and that is The Air Formulas by Britt Nunes. She so kindly sent me this to beta read, and I feel so honored to be one of her beta readers. I have read 3 of her other books in the past that she sent to me, and so I'm super excited to read this one. Most of her books tend to be dystopian sci-fi, so I'm assuming that's what this is going to be as well. And she also sent me this little like comic page for Etched, which was the first book in her dystopian duology, which I read. She also so kindly signed it for me, so thank you so much to Britt for sending me this. Those were all the books that were sent to me from publishers or authors. Now to move on to the young adult and adult books that I picked up this month. The first 2 we have are Caraval and Legendary by Stephanie Garber. I read both of these books and I super enjoyed them. I would highly recommend them to anybody who loves fantasy or carnival type books. Like I said, I've already talked quite a bit about these books on my channel already, so I'm not going to go into the synopsis again, but I would recommend them. We have The Dark Descent of Elizabeth Frankenstein by Kirsten White. This is the same author who I think wrote the And I Darken series, trilogy, whatever it is. I am really interested in reading her And I Darken series, but I ended up picking up this book first because I actually bought this after I went to see The Nightmare Before Christmas in theaters, because I saw like the stitches and it reminded me of Sally, so I thought it was a fitting buy. This book, it tells the story of Elizabeth Frankenstein, who is Dr. Frankenstein's wife, and this is gonna sound really bad, but I read Frankenstein a couple years ago and I don't remember him having a wife. But apparently she like really got the short end of the stick in that story, but I don't remember it at all. So I'm pretty excited to read this book, and hopefully maybe it'll get me in the mood to reread Frankenstein, and then maybe I'll remember her better. But either way, I'm very, very interested in reading this book, and I think it has a super cool cover. Then I have quite a few thrillers. The first one I have is The Luckiest Girl Alive by Jessica Knoll. I don't know much about what this book is about, but I know a while back it was pretty popular on BookTube, and I think it's a thriller, so there's that one. Then I got The Death of Mrs. Westaway by Ruth Ware. This is a book that I heard Lala from Books and Lala talk about, and she really liked it, I think. I want to say it's about maybe I should read the back before I say anything. So in this book we follow a woman who gets this inheritance, but she wasn't the one who was supposed to get it, but she decides to just go along with it anyway. But then it's a thriller, so something thrilling must happen. I don't know what, but I really like the cover of this. I think it's really creepy. It reminds me of like the gate outside of a really big haunted mansion. I really like it. And then we have A Stranger in the House by Sherry LaPena. This is the same author who wrote A Couple Next Door, I think. Yes, and I read that book in September. I thought it was okay. It wasn't my favorite. The ending was a bit anticlimactic. Hopefully this one will be a little bit better. And again, I don't know what it's about. I think affairs, something like that. And then we have Behind Her Eyes by Sarah Pinborough. I can't remember. I've heard quite a few people talk about this, but I want to say it was Murphy Napier who said that she really liked it. I could be mistaken on that one, but again, I'm not really sure what it's about outside of it being a thriller. I want to say it has some sort of like fantastical elements to it, or like paranormal a little bit, but again, I could be wrong, so. I have two books that my mom so kindly gifted to me, and that is Message in a Bottle and A Walk to Remember by Nicholas Sparks. I read A Walk to Remember by him a few weeks ago, or like a month or two ago, and I was vlogging when it happened, and this book, it tore my heart out. It made me cry, and I'm not a crier when it comes to books, so this book did something to me. So I'm really excited to give Message in a Bottle a read. I also hear that it's a tearjerker. I don't know why I want to do that to myself, but apparently I do. Next two books I have to show you, I wasn't sure if I should put into the classics part of this haul, but I thought I'd just throw them in here because I'm not really sure exactly when they came out. But that is Wicked and Son of a Witch by Gregory Maguire. I have never read any of the Wicked books, and I've never seen Wicked. I'm not really sure what it's about outside of it being about the Wicked Witch of the West and like Glinda or whoever that's supposed to be. So yeah, I'm really, really unfamiliar with the story, but I'm excited to finally read it. And this one has a super cool cover. Oh, it also has a map on the inside. But yeah, that's what the cover looks like. I guess might also be a thriller, I'm not really sure. That's The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I am so excited to read this book because it tells the story of like an old Hollywood actress, and that just sounds super duper cool to me. I love anything set in the 50s, and I'm not sure that if this is set in the 50s or if it's just her recounting the story. Either way, it draws my attention, and people love this book. Like, I've not seen anyone give it any less than a 4-star rating. So I am very, very excited to pick this up. And then we have another book that I've talked about a ton on my channel recently, so I'm not even going to discuss it here. It is The Silver Eyes, which is the first book in the Five Nights at Freddy's series. Check out any of my recent videos and you'll probably hear me explain this book like 10 times, so I'm not going to talk about it here. Next book I have to show you is Nevernight by Jay Kristoff. I have never read a Jay Kristoff book before, but I've heard nothing but amazing things about his novels, specifically this one, which I found for $1 or $2 at my library book sale, and it wasn't until I got home, because when I'm at the book sale, I'm just like picking books off the shelf. I like barely look at them. I didn't realize until I got home that it is a signed first edition. So that is pretty darn cool, and I really hope that I enjoy this series now that I have like a cool copy of it. Next I have We Were Liars by E. Lockhart, and I just looked at one of the blurbs on the inside, and I think this is also a thriller, maybe? Yeah, clearly I don't know what it's about, but it is a heck of a lot shorter than I thought it was. Like, when other people show it in their videos, I feel like it looked a lot bigger. And finally, for the more adult, like modern books that aren't classics, I have Salt to the Sea by Ruta Sepetys. I don't know if I said that right. Anyways, I think this is historical fiction. as per usual, don't take my word on that, but a lot of people love this book, so when I saw it for $1, I figured I'd pick it up. Now to move on to all of the classics that I got over the past few months. The first one we have is like my 5th or 6th edition of The Return of the King by J.R.R. Tolkien. I have The Fellowship of the Ring in this like cover edition, so I saw this, I figured I'd get it, and maybe finally I'll be able to complete it. I'm one step closer to getting all of the books in this edition. I really like this particular edition. I think it's really cool. Okay, my cat just had a little freak out. I don't know what's going on. And then I've got this cute little edition of Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. I think this is like a little adorable thing. I like how it looks like old parchment paper. And yeah, like I said earlier, maybe after I read The Dark Descent of Elizabeth Frankenstein, it'll put me in the mood to read this. Then I have A Study in Scarlet and The Hound of Baskerville by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. I assume this is just those 2 stories, which I have several editions of like the complete Sherlock Holmes, but those books are just like so hard to read because they're so stinking big, and a lot of them are like super pretty, so I don't particularly like to read those editions anyway. So this one's going to make it a lot easier to read, and these 2 are the ones that I want to read the most that I haven't yet, so I'm pretty excited to give this a read soon. These next couple of books I actually also got from my mom because she was like decluttering all of her books. The first one is The Phantom of the Opera, which I have never read before. I've also never seen the film in full, which I should probably get around to doing that. It's on Netflix, so I'll hopefully watch it soon. But yeah, the story has always been super intriguing to me, so hopefully I'll get around to reading it soon. Then we have 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea by Jules Verne. I tried reading Journey to the Center of the Earth by Jules Verne, and his writing is just very, very dense. So I have a copy of this book now. Don't know if I'll ever read it. Then we have A Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens. I have never read a Charles Dickens book before, so we will see. And then I've got a bunch of short little poetry books. This one is Robert Frost. This one is Edgar Allan Poe. Then we have Emily Dickinson and William Shakespeare. These are just short little books. They've got cute little illustrations in them and really pretty end pages. So maybe this will get me to read more poetry because I don't read much poetry. And then I got my 5th or 6th edition of Grimm's Fairy Tales. This is an illustrated edition, which I swear I was flipping through this when I first got it, and it's very difficult to come across an illustration in this. Like tell me, how many illustrations do you see? Because I'm not seeing many. Oh, found one, but that's literally the only one I found, and I've been flipping through the whole thing. Unless I'm just seriously missing the pages, this book seriously lacks illustrations. But I still think the cover is really cool, and it's like a really pretty edition. It has a nice spine. I like the spine a lot. I got a whole bunch of classics for only $1 each that are all by like the same publisher, but all the editions are like slightly different, but they're like these old kind of, not leather bound, but I don't know how to explain what they are. I have a couple of other classics that I got from my library book sale in these sort of editions, but I don't have any of these particular classics that I picked up, obviously, because I wouldn't have bought 2 of them. That's a lie, we all know I would have. The first one I have here is Miss Marple by Agatha Christie. This is what it looks like, and I think it's pretty nice. Nope. No nice end pages. I don't know where I got that from. And then in the same green edition we have Wuthering Heights, which I have never owned an edition of this book, so this is my first one. And then this edition is my personal favorite because I love the little swirlies on the spines. So in this I got Heidi, The Phantom of the Opera, here's my 2nd copy already, and then Pinocchio, which this one is the one that had the really pretty end pages, and it also does have a nice cover. They also have nice covers. I almost hit myself in the face, but I caught it just in time. And then in the green editions, again, I have Christmas books, which I assume is just full of Christmas books, and then Anne of Green Gables, which I've also never read or have any editions of Anne of Green Gables, so this is my first edition of that. And then in this red edition, we have the story of the Trapp Family Singers by Maria A. Trapp, which I had no idea that she wrote a book about them, but now that I know and I have it, I'm definitely interested in reading it. I don't know how I never heard of it before. And then finally, in this like black edition with a really pretty spine and cover, we have the Scarlet Letter. And this is also a lot shorter than I thought it would be, but this has deckled edges too, which is pretty cool. So I think I am finally done with my book haul of over 40 books. I cannot believe it. Don't ask where I'm gonna put any of these because I do not know. They have been sitting in giant Disney tote bags on my floor for like I've just been collecting them for the past 4 or 5 months, honestly. I don't know where to put them. I've got no room, as you can see. So wish me luck on that one. Leave me a comment down below and let me know if you've read any of these books before and what you thought of them. Let me know which ones I should start reading first, because my TBR just went up by like 30 books. This is not good. Yeah, that is all for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in my next one. Bye! But she wasn't the one who was... Okay, my computer just fell on the floor.